Welcome back to the Workbench. We are still working on the Ayrton Senna model kit build. And so just a quick catch up. This is what we've got so far with the chassis. I think we're looking pretty good. Basically, we've made it to step 7. We still need to work on the wheels and tires, which I have actually got the wheels here. We can go ahead and put these together. And then I did paint the tires also in between episodes. So we got that ready to go. The other thing that's ready to go, our body panels, body pods are now dry. So I think those are good to go. And then I also wanted to catch you up to date on the figure himself. So I had painted this. The only white I had in the entire workshop out of hundreds of paints was this Model Masters Insignia white. So that's what I painted him with. And this stuff turns out is extremely glossy. Which does not work very well for a fire suit, which is not glossy. So what I did is I sprayed it with a coat of matte clear, and that matte clear kind of reacted with it a little bit. You can see how it pulled back some. Let me see if I can get the camera to zoom in. It pulled back some of the paint. It's kind of strange. I'm not too sure I'm upset about it. So like we had talked about before, I want his suit to be pretty worn in. Normally your fire suits, you wear them in pretty good. So I'm not too upset with that, where some of the white has kind of pulled back. I don't know what the clear really did. It just reacted with it, but it did pull a lot of the high gloss off of it. So we've got him to work on also. But what I thought we'd do, we'll set him aside for right now. We'll go back to work on the chassis. So let's actually move everything to the side and back up to where we were at, which is, let's see, I guess we need to go all the way back to step 4 because we need to put the front cowl, they're calling it, or the front pod, whatever, and then this front panel on. So let's see, let's move our chassis back over front and center. Make sure that it is front and center. There you go. And it looks like this guy, it just kind of mounts, right? There's 2 pegs right here that attach to the back side of this, and I'm debating whether or not. Yeah, that's gonna fit just like that. That's perfect. So just make it straight, and I think it'll be perfect. Yeah, we'll have to make that straight like so. You know what I need to do? So again, we're gonna use our CA glue, but I'm gonna go ahead and get some of this. I like to put a bunch here. If you haven't, if you're new to the channel or you're new to this build, what I've been doing is putting some CA glue here. Let me show you right here in the corner. I let that dry up a little bit because I'm using a toothpick. This thing is so small, I just use a toothpick to kind of apply the glue. But I want it to gum up a little bit. So I let that start drying, and it's been working the best for us. Now, what I was going to say is I've been debating on whether I should apply the decals now or do it all at the end. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to wait to the end. This might be the wrong decision, but I think I'm going to wait to the end. The reason being is I'd rather just have essentially like a last episode of this build, a wrap-up episode where we're just applying decals. But for now, let me get this prepped to glue up. Here we are. So I'm going to pull a little glue, or pull some of the paint off of here. I actually tried to avoid painting this, so this little tab. So there shouldn't be much paint there, but that's going to attach right here. So I need to scrape some of this paint off is more important. There we go. Because this is what's going to be able to hold us centered. And then we're going to need to pull a little paint. I need to be real careful because I don't want to break anything while I do this. Pull a little bit of the paint off of these 2 pegs here. I think that'll be okay. And then we also need to take it out of these holes. So what I usually use is just a pin vise to do that. You can kind of just drill out the holes like so, almost like you're clearing out some powder coating or something like that if you're doing a big build. Okay, so now, like I said, I'm going to use a toothpick. Where did I put my glue? Yeah, it's down here. Yeah, so it's starting to gum up just a little bit, so it gets a little more solid, a little more easier to apply. Because I don't want to, even with the tip on the glue, I don't want to, I'm just terrified of squeezing it all over this model. And this works much better, just be able to apply it exactly where you want the glue to go. And this is Starbond CA glue. Again, I always mention if you want to get a good CA glue, just use the link down in the description. You can get you a discount. So now let's go ahead and now that we got our glue on there, this is going to go here and these are going to go there. And then I need to get it to, whoops. One, I need to get it to stay attached. There we go, right here, like that. And then I want to make sure it's nice and straight. There we go, like this. So I'm just going to hold it just a second right there. And that's kind of centering all of, let me turn it while I do it. So we had all this kind of structure we put in here. We had to put in a gas tank. We had to put in the center dash with that hoop. We've got the steering column. This really, at the end of the day, is kind of centering it all up. Let me make sure that's still, yep, that's right. It's kind of giving us, I needed just a little bit right there. Okay. Now, if I can just hold it. This is kind of centering all of that structure up for us because that's where obviously where the steering wheel is also going to go. We're going to want that to be pretty centered. It's got to go in his hands. Speaking of, I'll show you in a second. I was test fitting him in the seat. In fact, I can probably do it right now while I hold this. And it might even help hold it. He fits okay, but he doesn't actually sit down in the seat. And unless you look closely, you don't really notice that. And that has nothing to do with the build, how we built this. It just has to do with he's too big for these. He's molded too big. He doesn't actually sit down in the seat. Okay, I think that's holding. I'll use him to help hold it also. Okay. So I guess we'll just kind of go with it. I think we'll just kind of go with it. There's nothing we can do. I could try to shave his sides down, but then that's going to look, I don't know. Maybe we do that. I would really like him to sit. See, it's pinching him on his hips, essentially, so that he doesn't sit down into the seat. It's also catching, which I don't think anything I can do. It's catching on the back sides of his shoulders here on the back of the seat. So I don't know if there's really anything I can do about this. Either the seat needed to be just a hair bigger, or him just just a scale size down, or a percentage of a scale down. Anyways, let's let this glue up, and we'll go ahead and put the front pod on, which is the next piece. And it looks like it pretty much just mounts off this hole right up front here. Let me see. We'll test fit it. It's got like a peg on this side. Let me see how that's going to fit in here. Yeah, it fits right behind that sway bar, I guess. Yeah, I guess the sway bar actually shows. Oh, it pushes way down too. Okay. And I think what I'll do, I mean, that fits very tight. I don't even know if it really needs glue. Oh, there, it even popped in. There he went. Okay, nice. So that sticks those. Is that sway bar supposed to be up that high? Do I see it? Yeah, it is. I don't know if you guys can see, but it's exactly right. The sway bar actually does sit above that front bumper like that. So that's perfect. It's snapped in place. It's not going anywhere, but I think what I'll do, we have the hole on this side. I'll just take a little glue from over here and just kind of drop it in this hole here. Let me bring this over so I can see what I'm doing. Just for a little reassurance. It's not going to go anywhere, but it really snapped in place. I don't know how it's going to go anywhere. And that'll have, yeah, okay, that got solid for us. Good. That'll have finally have step 4 finished. And I think that looks, it's actually a pretty neat little kit. I've never built a go-kart. I like it. Pretty cool. Anyways, let me set that aside because next we've got step 5 is all done, but next I guess what we have to do is get our wheel and tire combos together. So let's see what that's going to take. So I've already, I went and painted these. I pre-painted them. This was in between episodes. I pre-painted them. I've also actually sanded some of the paint off so that they'll be able to glue into the wheels. I don't know. We'll see. I tried to sand them down. Like that needs a little more work right there. I want to make sure these wheels are nice. They have some kind of what do you call it? Like some of the molding. It's a little over molded. flashing, I guess you would call it. There's some flashing on the sides of these. I want to make sure these wheels are nice and round looking. Don't want that to take away from it. But where are the tires? Let me grab them from over here where I painted them. And we'll take a quick look at the tires. So you saw the back, yesterday I showed you the back tires where I had scuffed them. Hopefully you can see. I doubt you can see. Maybe in the light, in the reflection of the light there, you can see that they're scuffed up. Basically, I used the very coarse side of my big fingernail file here to give them a good scuffing along this direction of the tire. And then I had to fill these, and I've got powder all from where I was sanding with that. I had to fill these with body filler because they were really, from the molding process, really dented in. And then I did the same thing to what I would say is scrub them in, just like you would do a real set of race tires, a real set of slicks. And I think it looks pretty good. So now let me just I'm going to kind of test fit one of these with the wheel. Yeah, they fit. They fit very tight. Let me pop that back out. Or actually, because that's not, let me see if that's going to actually go all the way on there. It's not wanting to fit because I've got a little bit. I think that's probably the problem. Let me see this one. Definitely want them to fit all the way in like they're supposed to. Yeah, that one fit a little deeper. I think they're going to have a little rim showing on the outside. That's how they're supposed to be. I think that's not too bad. I wonder if I can get this one. This one has, if I take, actually, let me see if I can pop it back out of there. What do I have that will, something to push on it. There we go. Yeah, something to push it the rest of the way. Will this work? Yeah, okay. So once I pushed, I could tell there's, yeah, right here, there's a little bit that needs to be removed, and that's what's, basically it's what's left of the sprue where we pulled it off the sprue, and that's what's holding it up from going all the way in. I don't know if we're going to need, well, I think I'll go ahead and glue them, to be honest with you. In fact, I'll probably, I don't know the best way. Yeah, I want to make sure they fit before I glue them, but I'm afraid I'm going to get them in here and then not be able to get them out. But I guess if that's the case, do I even really need glue? And I'm just using the table to try to push it all the way in. I don't know. I think that's going to work okay just like that. This one looks crooked to me, but I guess it's not. No. So I think that's okay. I think we'll just go like that with them. I can't, it took a lot to get them out, so I don't know if I really need to glue them in place or not. I might could drop a little glue on the back side. Make sure I've got that cleaned up. See how these back ones fit. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to use the table, I think, to try and push them all the way in. Yeah, that's kind of, let me try the other one. You really can tell where there's extra, let's see, when you put them against the black tire, you can see where there's that little bit of extra plastic that got left behind. I think that's what's holding that one up. I'm trying to, I thought I'd got all that cleared up, but it's hard to see. Yeah, see, I think right here's going to be a problem. See what I can do. See if that one works better. A lot of times these kits will actually have rubber tires and it makes it a lot easier. That is not nearly far enough in. You know what would work for this? Maybe, well, one, maybe I'll try standing up. Give it everything I got. That's pretty close. Looks like this side needs to come in a little bit. Yeah, there it went. Felt it. Oh yeah, that looks good. So that's, I think that's the secret. Just use all your weight. Yeah, yep, much better. Let me try the front tires too. This is killing my thumb. I just have to be honest with you. I might have a permanent tire print Yep, good. Permanent tire print. Oh, my thumb. Yeah, good. That actually worked. And I don't think there's any chance these are coming out. So I'm not even going to worry. I don't think I'm going to worry about putting glue on them. I think all I'm going to do now is actually put them on the car. So let's see. Let's make sure. I guess we can start with the back axle. So we've got the chain. Let me get this up here where you can see. We've already got the chain on, and we've got our disc brake on. So here's our chain on that side, and then there's a disc brake on this side of the axle. Disc brake, chain, and then I don't think it matters which goes where. Hopefully this will just squeeze. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and take just they're too big for my pin vise. Hopefully, I want them to fit tight, so I don't want to open them up too much anyways, but I mean, I could always, I guess, glue them on the axle. Oh my goodness, this is real. I'm afraid I'm just going to crush this entire thing right in my hand trying to push these on. Let me see if I can squeeze them like this. Yeah, they're going very slowly. Now I can shift this axle wherever I need to go with it. Okay, that I could feel that actually started, I think, pushing that wheel out. I think that's all the way on. So then now I think, so we got a little axle. I guess that's how that's going to go. You know what I can do? I'm going to center the axle like so. I thought it would push all the way on, but let's do something. I'm going to do something here real quick. I'm going to take one of the pods, one of the side pods that is, kind of put it in place and see where that lines up. I think that's the wrong one. It goes this way. They're actually going to mount here, but is that going to... It has to push on yet. So I think that's actually right. Yeah, it is actually going to have a little bit of axle. Let me show you what I'm talking about. It's not going to squeeze all. I thought it would probably squeeze all the way on. It does not. It doesn't seem like that's the case. This wheel kind of popped out a little bit. I'm going to try to fix that up. But we have a little bit of axle in between. I guess in between. What are they showing on here? Do they ever... Yeah, they show some axle out there. I think, and there's not actually a brake caliper. They don't really, that wasn't really included, but I think this is how it actually goes. I just need to fix this wheel by pushing. Let me see if I can get it back. I have to do it like this. I think I felt it. Not the easiest thing in the world to do. Yeah, I really don't like how far out this wheel is now sticking because of me pushing it on the drive shaft. I think that's the best I'm going to do. That's not too bad. Yeah, that's all right. Okay. Now let me recenter. I'm going to have to drop some glue. I had left the chain unglued because I thought the wheels would hold it in place, but I'm going to have to actually glue this chain in place right here. I'm just going to glue it to the output shaft of the motor. Assuming this is the crankshaft here. Put a little bit of glue on there, and then it lines right up. It's really nice. Did that go on? There we go. Yep, I'm going to push it all the way against the motor. And then we can... Oh, this axle will just slide back and forth. Okay. Better let that sit still for a second while that chain glues on. Okay. So what do we... I think it's okay. It's not too bad. Getting there. Now we've got to get these front wheels on. I'm afraid I've got a lot of paint on here where I painted the front spindle silver. I'm hoping they pop on real easy with that paint. Yeesh. That is definitely going to want to break. what is the easiest way to do this? I think the easiest way is going to be sand down the spindles. So I think I'm going to take my sanding stick here and just remove some of this paint. And if I have to go back and touch it up, that's fine. If in other words, there's a little bit of the, because it's been painted red and then silver on top of the red, so it's really gotten thicker than the original white plastic molding. Do both sides. You can see the red coming through. Did I just break my gas pedal again? That gas pedal has been the absolute, like I said before, the bane of my existence. These things are so fragile. You try to do these things with soft hands, which I just have a lot of trouble with. Let me see if that's going to work. I don't know the best way. I don't know if that's going to, you know, I might have to. I don't think that's all the way on, is it? Is that all the way on? There's no way. There's no way those spindles are supposed to stick out that far, are they? Let me again look at the pictures here. It's hard to tell. And whatever reference I can use. Yeah, it definitely looks like they should suck in further than that. I mean, they're only going to go so far because there's only so much wheel they can go through, but it's about like that, yeah. I'm just wondering if I should have put the wheels on. I'm going to break this. I know it's going to happen. We've come this far. Where's my big drill bit? Well, this. No. Too small. Where's my X-Acto? I'm just going to try to clean this side out a little bit. See if that helps. I can tell the way it's molded, it's meant to pop on, which is not happening. I think it's supposed to pop. I think it's literally supposed to pop all the way through. So let me do this. Let me clean out this side. You can always touch this paint up. That's no problem. Yeah, I think it's supposed to clip all the way through the wheel. On this one, the back wheels, the wheels themselves, the wheel faces are solid, so you can't go all the way through. But I think this is supposed to pop through there. There it went. Yep, that's exactly what it does. Okay, so I think that's the answer. Let me open up this side. Basically, when I say open up this side, I'm just cleaning out the paint and a little bit of the plastic. But especially on the face side of the wheel, it needs cleaned out. It's where I've painted them. It's gummed up the inside of the hole with some paint. And it doesn't take much to where it won't do what it's supposed to do. Now, what's the best way? Oop, open that one up too much. So I think what we'll do is glue them, which is fine with me. I don't have to have them turn. So that one's definitely going to have to be glued. Can I get this one back off now? Probably. Okay. And I'm going to actually just drop some glue on them like this. Like that. Come around to this side. That. This one has way too much glue on it. Where is here? This will work. Get some of that off of there. And now let's put us back on. I just put it on backwards. That's wonderful. There we go, just like that. And then I'll have to touch this paint up. which is fine. That's easy enough to do. I want to make sure they're the same distance through, which is about right there. I'll set it flat on the ground here so I can make sure the tires are nice and flat. What do we think? I think that looks pretty good. Can't complain. This tire wheel sticks out just a little too much, or a little more than I'd like, but I don't know if there's anything I can do about it. I mean, it's not horrible. It's not awful. That's all glued up. I probably should have. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm okay with that. Let me set this to the side. Let it sit flat. Let those front tires dry a little bit, and then because that I think finishes step. Does that finish step 6 for us? I think so. Yeah. So now we're on over here, which, oh, you know what? I forgot I had test fitted the silencer on. It's not actually glued in. Boy, it's acting like it's glued in, but it's not. I'm not gonna mess with it. I think it fits so tightly, it's not one to come out. I don't want to break anything. I actually put this in between episodes to kind of test fit it, the expansion chamber and the silencer, the exhaust, basically, which it fits perfectly and nicely. It looks good. So that is actually already done. We need to do, it looks like they want us to do the chain guard. Y'all can't even see what I'm pointing at. To do this chain guard and the number plate first, then we'll put our side pods on. So where is that? It's kind of the last pieces we have, really. Yeah, here we go. So I'd pre-painted them, of course. Let's go ahead and get our, well, it seems to be what I'm assuming is a chain guard. If I can get it clipped off of here. We'll put it on first. Let me set you aside for a second. Oh my goodness, I put this wheel on backwards. Oh wow, I just noticed. Are you going to come loose? Come loose, please. Oh no. Oh no. Is it coming loose or is it? Yeah, it did. Okay. Luckily, our glue, I think I can get it off. Basically, I'm screwing it off. There it came off. Thank goodness. I literally put that wheel on backwards. Wow, that was about the dumbest thing I've done ever. Sometimes you just lose at life, and putting wheels on backwards is definitely a way to do it. Let me put this back on now the correct way. And I want to put it through the set. There we go. Now that looks like an actual wheel, and it looks the same as the other side. Okay, perfect. All right. I'm glad I caught that before it completely, because it would have just broke that spindle off once it completely dries. Okay, and what if this is actually, where does this attach? Let's see. So it attaches, okay, so it just sits, oh, this has a hole that it goes into. Where is that? Oh, back here, I see. It attaches to this kind of rear bumper. Yeah, like this. I'm just trying to see how this goes because I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to tell what is sprue that's left behind on the piece and what is actually part of the part you need. I think so. It looks like, yeah, that little tab needs to come off. That's actually part of the sprue, but not part of the part. If that makes sense. Right there. Yeah, that's good. Now let me sand down this little, here we are. Sand down this little tab, whatever it is, peg, tab, knob, whatever you want to call it. There we go, because that's what we're going to glue. That's a nice clean surface because I just snipped it with the X-Acto. Now I need to get in here. I'm going to drill. There's a hole right here. This is where the back side of that bumper is going to attach. So I'm going to just kind of drill it out with my pin vise here, and that'll clean out all the paint in there. Give us a nice surface to glue to. Oh, you know what? Let me clean up before I go too far. I need to do the front, which is going to go right there. It's going to be a little difficult at this point, but I'm just going to scratch off some of this paint. And this paint's a little difficult to actually scratch off because if you remember right, this is actually automotive paint that I'm using. Automotive touch-up paint. So it takes a little bit of effort. I mean, it's hard enamel. And it takes a little bit of effort to actually get a surface to glue to. I think that's going to be okay. Now let's bring our glue back, which should be nice and gummy. Actually, we've kind of used it all. Is this I just lost my toothpick. Well, did I glue it to the... Oh, here it is. Oh, we've got some good gummy glue right over here. This might be what I was using earlier. Actually, it's too gummy. It's set too much. So let's just go again with it. How do you guys apply your glue? What glue do you use? Do you use just plastic cement or do you use CA glue? I tend to use both. It just depends on what I'm doing. These little bitty things, I like to use CA glue. Unfortunately, like I said, all I have is the thin stuff right now. If I had the medium, Starbond makes a medium viscosity, I guess you would say. And it works perfect. You could just put one of their tips. In fact, let me show you. Do I have... Yeah, here we go. When you buy Starbond, it comes with a bag of tips. You guys can see that. You've got a ton of tips that you can use. And with the medium, I can just, with one of these tips, I can place it almost like what I'm doing with the toothpick. I can just place a little drop of glue. With the thin, unfortunately, with the thin stuff, it'll just run. The thin, by the way, so why the point in the thin stuff is really if I was to glue, let me find something I can use as an example. If I was to glue, there's got to be something here that's like this, say this toothpick container and this, if I was to glue these two things together, I could just run, in fact, you know, these are both not needed anymore. I can show you. You can take your thin set glue and just run it right down the seam. And that, because it's so thin, it'll work its way in. Now, if I spray this with some accelerant, and I just dripped accelerant all over me, I got it everywhere. Take your time when doing it. Don't make a mess like I just did. It should, other than the fact that this is filthy, I think we just glued a bunch of dirt. But because of the thin, it'll work its way in between the two surfaces, almost like using the extra thin. If you guys ever use the extra thin cement, plastic cement, you can push two pieces together and then glue them together that way. But well, I just pulled the paint off the can. Anyways, very bad example for Starbond. Yeah, if you have a painted can, it'll just pull the paint off. You're just gluing paint. But anyways, you get what I'm trying to say. So to do it now, because that's all I have, I'm using a toothpick, which I've, again, lost. Here it is. And just letting it thicken up a little bit while it sits over here, like it has now. And it actually works pretty good. It's been, like I can take this toothpick and just put it in the hole there. And with this just a little bit gummed up CA glue, you get some pretty good, spot gluing, I guess you would say. And if I could get my hand to not shake, I could probably do it without making a mess. So right here. All right. And where did I put? Here it is. You know what? Well, that sets a little bit. I'm going to just kind of smooth up this spot right here. And we'll touch up this paint, of course. Just like that. Nice and smooth. And then let's put this in place. So this peg needs to go in here. Just like that. And then this is going to sit over top the chain right there. And I probably should have touched up that paint before I did it, but I think I can do that. And that looks pretty good. It basically sits on the chain is how it's actually fitting. But that's all right. Actually, we got a little gap there, I think. Yeah, there's a little gap. Can you guys see? Well, if I put it in frame, you probably could. You can see it just sits right over that chain. Basically just a chain guards. So no problem with putting your arm directly on the head of the motor or the exhaust, but at least you're not going to get your arm cut off by a chain. Just burnt really bad. All right. So now we'll let that glue up. What was the, oh, we got to do the number plate for the back here, which I went ahead and just painted silver. It doesn't, oh, I guess it does say. It says H, no, H4 is, so that's actually the decal that goes on here. It didn't say what color to paint it. I just went ahead and painted it silver. I didn't want to leave it white, which I think is going to look all right. Let's get that smoothed up and get this cleaned up. Just like that. It's got 2 pegs here. These are going to be, let me test fit this. And they're centered, so I guess it doesn't matter which way it goes. They're going to be able to, yeah. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the in between the 2 pegs here. I'm going to use as my glue point. So I'm going to take that off there, and I'm going to take, you literally can't see any of this surface, so I don't have to be too terribly careful with scratching this paint off. That'll give me a good glue point. Where is my glue? Make sure I got it good. It doesn't take much CA glue to do the job. I think a lot of times people use too much. I think in general, just with glue period, people tend to use too much. There is literally appropriate amounts of glue to use, whether it's, wood glue, carpenter's glue, CA glue, which is, super glue or crazy glue or whatever you want to call it. Okay, that's going to work okay. So we'll let that sit. Now we've got a little bit of time left today. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and touch up this paint because it's really bugging me. Where did my black go? I did paint that. Did I paint that? Oh, wow. Well, this is a problem. I can't remember if I painted that black or if that's the, I did paint it black. I'm pretty positive. So let's go ahead and touch that up. The black and the gunmetal are very, very similar, but I can see the difference here. So this silencer is gunmetal. I painted actually gunmetal, and then that's black. The model itself, so anything metal, it just said silver. Just paint it silver. But I hate painting everything the same silver. I like to have some variety in color, just like, so the silencer I went ahead and did silver. Actually, the expansion chamber, I think it said paint black, but I did it gunmetal, just like some of the other metal pieces on the cart. But let me touch up this chain guard, if for nothing else, for thumbnail reasons. Use a nice little brush here. Okay, good. That looks good. Got that touched up, and then I'm going to have to touch up the front wheels, which are, oh, this is actually a problem. It was actually a color that I mixed. Basically, I took some silver because I wanted the wheels to be a little bit of a different color. I've got to figure out how to get this wheel. I might just pull on it. I guess it might. I got to get this wheel back on the rim. I'll probably mess with that because that's going to take some effort. I'll mess with that in between episodes. But I custom mixed the wheel color. So what I did, and so I'll actually let you see. This is probably a good thing. So I just went silver, and then I took the gunmetal color here, and with this a little bit, I'll just probably put 2 drops in, and then that's the color I use for the wheels. I mix it, and it just makes it a little bit of a different silver. I think this is going to be okay to touch up. You can see where the axles came through, and now they're red. Obviously I don't want them red. So I'm going to just paint it this color on and give a good coating to the inside of the wheel too, where we were messing with them. Some of the paint got a little scuffed. And that has a booger in it. Let me see if I can get, there we go. Some of the plastic that came through with it. Yeah. Touch it up here just very carefully. Oops. That looks pretty good. I'm okay with that. Set that aside. Anything else we need to clean up while we're here? We're about out of time. I appreciate you guys joining us today, or joining me today. Thank you for being there. Thank you. If you watch to the end, leave me a comment down below. Let me know that you watch all the way to the end. I'm not sure how many people do. These are long. I'm sure people just tune right out. Most people do on YouTube. But if you watch all the way to the end, let me know. I'm having a blast doing this. I need to put those side pods on. You know what? I think I'll do that in between. I don't want to hold you guys up any longer because we're about to our 45-minute mark. But I'm going to go ahead and drill these out. And then I'm going to go ahead and also mount up the side pods. I'll do that and it'll be done when we come back next time. We're coming to the finish here. We've pretty well got the kart is, I would say, pretty well done. It just needs its decals. I did put on the side pods in between episodes like we talked about. But today I think what we're going to work on is finishing the Senna figure himself, which we've got the torso put together. I did pre-paint these. As you can see, I kind of blocked in the main colors. Oh, and I do want to mention, so I was having trouble. I didn't really have any white around the place and it wasn't working out. Anyways, I did find, let me find it here. I did finally find, I was just digging and digging. I found some dead white. Let me make sure you can see it down here. I did find some dead white, from my Game Air stuff. So I went and painted over top of all the other whites we were trying to do. Remember, right, the original white I used was actually this insignia white, which was just way too glossy. So I was able to actually block over that with that dead white. I did some red shoes and gloves. And then I have sprayed, which I don't know if it's quite dry yet. It should be pretty, yeah, it's good. Okay. I sprayed the helmet. So I masked off the body and then sprayed the helmet with the yellow. So we've got these blocked in colors now. So now what I want to do, let's go ahead and finish up, or at least try to finish up, putting him together. We probably won't get him into the kart just yet. I think we're going to have this episode and one more episode, which we kind of finish everything up with all the decals. But let's get him done. And what I want to do first, so like I said, all the colors are blocked in right now. There's some paint we got to do to the helmet, and then there's paint we've got to do to the body. I'm trying to think what we should do first. In fact, let's see the colors on the helmet. What is this lower? This lower color is 12. So those two, what is 12? Is that flat black? Okay. So it's probably supposed to represent kind of the padding around the bottom. Is it all the way around? No, it's just kind of up front here. Let me look at the box cover too. Does that stop? They have it all the way around the helmet. So I probably will paint that black all the way around the bottom. And then it's also this front edge here, which I think is going to represent, no, actually that's the padding, which is, they have 5 plus 40, whatever that means. 5 is yellow, 40 is flat base, so I guess just a flat yellow. Really? The helmet itself is yellow. That doesn't make any sense. If we look at the picture, we can probably just do this better. So here's our black, and then the padding inside the helmet's blue. So I think, do they have that? What is 44? Oh, that's his flesh color. Do they have a blue? Oh, no, 5 is blue. I was misreading. Okay, so that is blue right in there. Okay, so let's see if we can get these done. Where's my black? This is the most nerve-wracking. You've sprayed this nice coat of yellow, or this nice base coat, and now we're going to paint over top of it, and my shaky hands, we're going to do the best we can. So I've got to try to hit around the bottom here. I think I'll use my little thin brush. Make sure you guys can kind of see me. You can make fun of me as I do this. Get some of that off. And we just want to keep a steady hand. I could try to go in and tape this, but I just don't know how well that would work. This is nerve-wracking. I hate doing this because I really do have shaky hands. I mean, I guess really everybody does. It's just, oh, wow, that looks awful. It's how do you manage the shake, right? And for me, it's tough. I don't know how. You watch I watch videos and I've seen guys pinstripe, and I have no idea. I have no idea how they do that. I don't know if you can. I mean, I think it's just a born talent. I don't think you can train. Oh, this is awful. Okay, we're going to try to clean this off real quick. This is going very poorly, so we're going to come at it a different way. So I was able to just kind of wipe it off, luckily. I might have to try to tape this, I think, is the only way I'm going to be able to do it myself. Let me go ahead and close this up. I mean, it's just such a tiny, and it really does need to be a crisp line. So let me clean my brush real quick. I've got this, I don't know, I guess you call it like fine line tape here. So let me see if I can, let's see what we can do. Let's go, I don't know how much we need. It's just, these rounded surfaces like this helmet. Sometimes it's a little hard to tape, but that's why this green tape's actually made to give a little bit of, it has a little bit of flex in it or bend to it. I don't know what the right, it'll contourability. Is that the right word? It'll wrap around complex curves for you a little bit, but it's still, these complex curves are so little. Is that going to work? I mean, this will probably end up better than me trying to freehand it anyway around. So I just need to get this backside where you get a really tight curve. And again, it's a compound curve, complex curve, compound curve, whatever the right word would be. Let me snip this tape off here. I pulled way too much. We'll just kind of pull that up ways. There we go. Throw that on the floor to be cleaned later or never. Let's see if I can get it. I just want to make sure we've got good adherence. It's sticking. And then we'll try again. I think that's probably the best we're going to do. All right, let's try again. I'm still going to use that thin line brush, I guess. Why not? Let's go back to our black. And then hopefully this tape will do the job for us. Still want to be somewhat careful. I don't want to accidentally hit his body. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Yeah. I also want to kind of paint up under the underside of the helmet here very carefully. I don't want to hit his fire suit. And you just pray and hope that you're not getting bleed under the tape. That it's not bleeding under the tape line. And I'm just going to try to take my time and get good coverage because I want to do this in one coat. I don't want to have to come back again. And also, this is why I spent a lot of time actually spraying the base coat for this, the yellow, because this is, in my opinion, probably the most iconic helmet in racing. So I want to do it right. I want to do it justice. You know what I mean? Like, this is not, nowadays the guys, the F1 guys, I mean, all of them. Oh, wow, that's, okay, let me not paint. It looks like that tape came up right there, so I'm not going to paint in that area any more than I have to. I'm trying to paint on the other side. Now I think the F1 guys get 3 designs a year. There's actually rules to it, how many kind of helmet designs they can use, and it's a good. I mean, I like it because it's, you can sell, the mini helmets, and it's also good for the artists. It's good that they get to do multiple helmets like the Troy Lees of the world. But back in the day, like Senna, he wore this helmet. This is every race ever. It's just an iconic helmet. You didn't, it didn't change. He didn't have 3 helmets every year and a different helmet and with 58,000 colors and airbrushing and what. No, it's very simple, very unique to Senna, and again, just very iconic. So I want to make sure I do it right, or do it the best I can. So let me go ahead. I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the tape carefully. Don't want it. And see just how bad this. Oh, wow, it's bad. It really bled. Well, that worked out not at all. Wow, that really bled. Okay. So what is our, can I wipe that? Let's see how much we can clean off of this. Wow, that really did not work. That tape sucked. Let me wipe this clean as best I can. I also don't want to smear it all over the place. Okay, so that did not work. So what I'm gonna have to. How am I gonna do this? And this is why I record this live, so you can see what happens when things fail. That absolutely failed. I'm gonna have to respray his helmet, I'm afraid. Yeah, because that's already dried up. So I'll have to retape him and his helmet. But what I think we'll do, what I think we'll do for now is just work on his body. I'm gonna have to, or do I want to do that? Oh, man, that sucks. Sometimes it's just a failure. I'm trying to think what the best route. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. You know what? I'm gonna have to retape his body, repaint the helmet. I was going to start doing some gray washes and what on this, but I think on his body, but I think I'll wait on that. What we'll do, we'll pivot and we'll go to, let's start placing some of the decals on the card itself. So let me bring the card over. I will repaint the body. I'm going to rethink. I have some vinyl. I can probably cut some thin vinyl, which really sticks well. For taping. This tape just did not do the trick. It's meant for bigger surfaces. I think if I use the vinyl, or I'll just have to try to keep the steadiest hand I can. But I sure would like a nice clean line around there. I'll work on that for tomorrow. So I think we're gonna pivot and we're gonna do decals on the cart. Let me pull the steering wheel off before it falls off. And then probably the last episode is going to be Senna and then placing him in the cart. Okay, so let's do that. So in fact, I already kind of did some prep on these decals. Basically, you have the sheet is split. It's kind of interesting. It's split in two. The lettered decals are for the figure, and the numbered decals are for the cart. So I think we'll just start real simple. I'm going to start, or as simple as this kit is. I'm going to start by applying the numbers to the cart. And this is the way that I do this. I just do each one individually. I've got some water here that I've already put together. So I have an RODI filter that I use. I have a bunch of fish tanks and I use it for my fish tanks, and that's the water I use for these decals. I try not to just use tap water because I don't know, there's calcium, there's all kinds of stuff in the tap water. And so I try to use filtered water. And then I think I'll go ahead and put the backside number 2 in also. And so basically we have a bunch of Tag Heuers, and then all the Senna stuff, and then the Goodyears that are going to go on the tires. So there's not a lot to it. Pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of it takes a little bit of time for these to slide off of their backing papers. So we'll wait on that. Throw that across the room to never be cleaned ever. Yeah. So anyways, let's see how we doing here. Yeah, so thanks for coming back by and joining me here. You never know what's going to happen. You go from thinking we're going to do a Senna figure to now applying water slide decals. This should be getting close, I would think. I don't know how old. Here's another thing too. I've owned this model for quite a while, many years. I'm not sure when it was actually produced, and sometimes these decals can get a little bit old and they can become difficult. So hopefully that's not the case here. Hopefully they're still malleable. They're still, what happens, they kind of dry up, and I don't know, they become brittle. And you try to, I've built some models that I've bought. I buy a lot of models at like swap meets and things like that, and they can be old, unopened. You buy them unopened, but they've just been sitting for so long that these decals can become brittle and unusable. These look like they're going to be okay. Let's throw you over there. We'll go ahead and get this, and it's got two dots that go on the. There's, I guess they're bolts or screws or whatever, but there's molded in screws that those two dots are supposed to sit on top of. I'm trying to make sure that happens right there. We'll let this, just want to make sure it's lined up perfectly, because what I'll do, that looks way off center, even though that's what's lined up perfectly. I think it's about right there is right. We'll let that dry up. I like to let it dry up on its own. And then I have some Vallejo decal fix that we'll use on top of that, but you want it to be dry. And a lot of times this will help it mold, kind of form over top of those, form over top of the molded plastic, like those two bolts. Let's go ahead and get this one on the back, which is pretty straightforward. It's just a nice flat piece. See if I can I use nice clean water and filthy fingers. It makes perfect sense. I try not to touch the back sides of the decals or the surfaces they're going on, and I like to try to keep the surfaces they're going on clean. You want to keep them debris free. And let's get this thing nice and square would be nice. There we go. If I can get it to rotate just a little bit. You would think this would be easy, but it fits right inside there. I think that's pretty good. Again, we'll let that kind of dry up on its own. Let the water evaporate essentially. On its own, just naturally. I don't know really what the best. That's how I've always done it. And then we can use the decal fix on top of that, which will help it. It kind of I don't know how to describe it. It makes the decals more malleable. It kind of forms it into a little bit more into the surface. So let's go ahead. This is number 3. Let's go ahead and put this. We'll do the front. We'll do the front, I don't know what it is. What do they call it? The front cow piece, whatever this is called. And it's the bigger of the Tag Heuer decals here. And I like these. So far, these decals, you guys can't see it, but if I hold it in the light, I can kind of see, because obviously there's extra, when they do these, the decal is bigger than the printed area, but it's actually very tight. Sometimes you have to go in and really cut these very tight to it. To the decal to get rid of some of that extra decal material. These are actually, they seem to be printed pretty well. And the other one is this, it's showing this NAD down here, whatever, or NAD, I'm not sure what that is. It's probably the cart builder itself, the manufacturer of the cart, I guess. But the way these are printed and on the sheets, yeah, I can kind of see it in the light. I can just kind of cut it with plenty of stuff, leaving plenty of material around like that, and it shouldn't matter. Let's go ahead. So that's the 2 left there. Let's go ahead and cut this big Senna for the front pod here. Have a few of them soaking in the water so we can kind of keep moving forward. so. Let that soak. And then what's the other ones that go? Okay, so there's 2 more tag Hoyers, which are these number 2s, which there's actually 4 that are number 2. So 4 of the same tag Heuer logos. We're going to do 2 of them for right now. So I'll go ahead and clip it at 2. Like so. Cut the 2 off. I'll put those in together. Okay. And then that'll finish out kind of basically the front of the cart. And then everything else will go on the side pods and the tires. Okay, very good. Let's see. This is the first one we put in. Yeah, nope. And you want them to slide off naturally. You don't want to force them off. That's when you will rip a decal. So we'll just give that a second. Hopefully it won't take too long. Let me just double check. So we got the number 2s. Yeah, a couple of number 2s that are going to go on the side pods. Yeah, cool. And then just more of the logos. Okay, so tag Heuer is going to go right up under the number plate. I want them to be square to each other. Sometimes I'll use like a brush or something to try to move them around. You can use your X-Acto. I've run into issues. You have to be very careful. You can use an X-Acto or something pointy to kind of move them around, especially these small, tiny little decals. Where's our NAD? But you have to be real careful. I've had issues with scratching. You can scratch the ink off the decals. Now, these I will show you. I will use my X-Acto. So I'm assuming you can see it on my, again, nice clean water, very dirty finger. And I'll put it on the tip of my X-Acto like that. And then this one kind of goes down here. There's a big old drop of water here that's kind of in our way. Probably should have taken that off. And it's 90 degrees off. Let's see. I'm going to pull this guy back off with my X-Acto like that. I'm going to try and dry up that big drop of water that's coming down because it's not allowing the decal to sit flush on the plastic here. Now let's go back with the NAD logo stick. Thank you. And now I am going to use just very gently. And they have it way down here at the very bottom, which is nice because I actually have a little bit of a. You guys probably can't see it because it's very minor. It bugs me, but it's very minor. There's just a little bit of a booger in the paint down here, which I didn't go to the trouble to fix because I knew this decal would be going down here, and it's very minor and you can't really even see it. It's just me that knows it's there. There we go. I think that's... Just going to straighten that out just a little. It's really... There we go. Well, no, now it's crooked the other way. Sorry, I get really a little anal about this sometimes. Want to make sure it's perfect, which is easier said than done. There we go. Come on. There we go, right there. That's going to be good. So don't touch it. Now you got to make sure you don't touch it, don't blow on it, don't do anything. All right, what did we have next? Oh, we're going to do the Senna on the front cowl, which just rides. Is it on? It looks like it's, yeah, right up there. So this bigger Senna, his logo. If I could now get it off my finger. And what you absolutely don't want to do is to have it fold over on itself. But they want to stick to you, which makes it very difficult. Can you please? There we go. And this is the Senna Driven to Perfection logo. He has, it still actually exists. His family has a foundation, kind of a pretty famous in Brazil. I haven't been to Brazil, but from my understanding, is its very famous in Brazil fundraising foundation. In fact, I was reading, where did I read it? It was on the box. It was talking about, where did I see on this box somewhere? That the proceeds of these actually go to the Senna Foundation. But anyway, so you have that. They use this logo a lot. Of course, if you've ever seen these are going to go out like that. If you've ever seen a McLaren Senna, the car, it uses the S in the logo. Okay, one on this side and one on this side. Please stick. Okay. And then I mainly want to, when I look over here, I'm looking at the box top, using that kind of as an example as to the location of these. I think what's most important is that they're the same, in the same location, which that looks pretty close. This tag Heuer looks crooked to me. Maybe not. I think that's pretty close. And that gets that has the front and the back. Now we just need to do these side pods. And I think what I'll do first, actually, you know what I think I'm going to do first? I'm going to do the tires. I'm going to do the Goodyears on the tires. So let's go ahead and clip all of these out. Or maybe we'll do both so we have them kind of going at the same time. I'm going to do the tires. Just go in there. There we go. And then I'm going to do the number 2s for the side pods. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with... So McLaren released, this is years back now, released a Senna model, I guess. It was basically just a raced out version of the 720, whatever the McLaren at the time was. It was full carbon. The whole car was carbon. Had glass doors, which is kind of weird. Or it had glass panels in the doors, which I guess somewhat makes sense. So you can see the road as you're driving, I guess, because it has the door windows were very strange too. They were like a window and then a window in a window. It was like this tiny little window in a bigger window. You couldn't exactly take it through a drive-through, let's put it that way. But they had glass panels on the lower part, down lower in the doors. I guess so you could see the road as it went by. I don't know. But full carbon, I mean, just crazy. You know, I think if you wanted to buy one today, they're well over $1 million, I would think. I'm not for sure how much. I'm not in the market, so I don't I don't really know. But when they came out, I was all excited about it just because I'm a huge, I've kind of talked about it here. Ayrton Senna was literally my favorite F1. He's my favorite F1 driver ever. One of my favorite just racing drivers ever. You know, his death occurred my senior year of high school, so it was kind of right at that time when I was really. I watched racing all my life with my dad. We watched Thursday Night Thunder together. I watched Jeff Gordon, you know, race sprint cars and all that. But I didn't really I really kind of started coming into my own as a racing fan, you know, about 16, 17, 18 years old, right at the heyday of Senna and F1. So it's like that prime, you know, and then he, you know, tragically died at Imola. Let me see if I'm gonna have to use my X-Acto for this. Yeah, he tragically died at Imola. You know, right in my heyday of becoming. Wow, you can't even see these. What's the point? Well, it came off, but can you get off my finger, please? I don't know. Okay, that decal's on there. I think I'm going to skip. You can't even see them. What's the point? And I've got a question. Does Goodyear actually put their logo on the side of karting tires. I'm not putting them on, so I'm throwing those to the side. You can't even see them, so I'm not going through the trouble. So let's just do the number 2s. But yeah, so Senna has always been one of my favorites. And when McLaren, so you know, he won his championships with McLaren. You know, he died with Williams in a Williams car. But I was, when that came out, I thought it was really a really cool thing. Obviously, you know, obviously I'd love to have one, but you know, never will. I couldn't imagine I ever will. Need a lot more people to watch these videos if that's ever going to happen in my in my life. But yeah, so Senna would be probably, I think he's probably the greatest F1 driver of all time. In my opinion, the greatest driver. While I chit chat about who the greatest driver of all time is, I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of these decals. We have, so on the tops, I'll do the tops, which is 10. Greatest driver of all time. I think still, in my opinion, Mario Andretti. I think's probably he's I think the greatest driver of all time, just because he did it across so many. He has F1 World Championship. He has Indy 5, one Indy 500 win, Indy championships. He has NASCAR championships. He has dirt track now, I don't know how controversial this will be, but Kyle Larson's working his way there, in my opinion, with being the guy that can drive everywhere. As we speak right now, I don't really have a favorite F1 driver. I don't really have a driver I root for. I root for Haas. Am I doing the right ones? Yeah, it has to be, because it's the only Tag Heuer's left. Okay. I root for Haas, or the American team. When Cadillac comes in, I will probably more root for Cadillac, I guess. I don't have a favorite driver in F1. Now, in NASCAR, it's obviously Kyle Larson. A huge Kyle Larson fan, just as a racing driver. I mean, that's what I kind of root for. And then in Indy, I mainly root for Joseph Newgarden, just because I think he's the best American driver right now. I mean, we were thinking maybe that would be Colton Herta, but he's so inconsistent. And I like Newgarden. Kind of the same reason I liked Senna. He's the guy that will wreck himself out of a race, because he's never a point counter. That's Dixon's place. That's what he does. He just counts points, and then, to me, he's the Alan Prost of Indy, and then Senna's the Joseph Newgarden, who will wreck himself out of a race just because he's being over aggressive and not thinking about the point standings. And I like that about him. I think a race driver should always be trying to win. That's, at the end of the day, that's what you're trying to do. Larson will do the same thing. We saw him do it last season. There were a few times where like, God, stop. You don't need to do what you're doing. But I like that about him. But we'll see. I still think it's kind of interesting. I feel like Newgarden should be driving NASCAR. He's so good on short ovals, and he's so good on ovals just in general. And he's don't get me wrong, he's good on, road courses also, but, he just comes across to me as a NASCAR driver. And then I look at Larson, I'm like, I wish Larson was driving Indy, I think he could. Yeah, I feel like my two favorite drivers as we speak right now are to switch seats, but I don't know. Well, I could be very wrong. Let me know what you think. Who's your favorite? Who do y'all root for out there? I sure wish NASCAR would change their championship system. I hate the playoff crap. It is just, I don't get it. I don't get it. There is too much, in my opinion. I get playoffs in ball and stick sports. I get the, I'm an Arsenal fan, and I watch the English Premier League, which of course there's no playoffs in. It's just a point system, just like, kind of like Racing. Did I do that correctly? Yeah, they both go to the back. Okay. And then the tag Hoyers go up front. Do I wish there was a playoff system in the EPL like there is in the MLS? I don't know, to be honest with you. I kind of like the idea of it's just this, anybody can have a bad day, good day, whatever. But if you have to put a whole season together, and in my opinion, in racing, there is just too many outside influences, right? In ball and stick sports, you could have injuries, things like that, but you still control control the game from your standpoint. Racing, there's just too many factors outside of the driver or even the team's control. So whether that's somebody else doing something stupid and wrecking you out, or something breaking that's a manufacturer issue. There's just too many things outside of your control to put it on all down onto one race. And I'm not a Joey Logano hater. I know there's a lot of them out there. I don't hate anybody, just to be honest with you. It's hard for me to say, but I guess I don't hate Kyle Busch. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't. I understand he plays the heel. It is what it is. You've got your brand and you got to play to it. Whatever. I don't care. Where do these little bit? Oh, they go right there. Okay. So let me do the big stick of the last. These are the last of the decals because I am not doing those Goodyear ones. It's pointless. But does anybody out there really believe, to finish my point, does anybody out there really believe that Joey Logano is the NASCAR champion of 2024? I think it's ridiculous. And that's nothing. There's nothing against Joey Logano. I have nothing against him. I just hate the system. Anyways, that's my rant. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think out there. Let me know down in the comments. Do you watch are y'all just here to watch models be built, or are you racing fans? Are you here because you are a racing fan? Are you here because you're an Ayrton Senna fan? Are you here because you're a karting fan? Maybe you kart. Maybe you have a shifter kart and you're out there racing. Let me know. Like, what are you into? Do you build models, or do you do things around your interests? So as a racing fan, I've built car and race car models all my life. I've got about 500 half-built models, and they're all race cars. That's also why I've enjoyed this series, is it's forcing me to finish what I start. So I've got to finish, because I'm notorious, and you can check back in my channel, I'm notorious for starting something and then never finishing it. And I also want to thank everybody. If you've lasted this long with my rambling, I appreciate it. Unfortunately, these decals take a little bit of time to actually get where they need to be. I think what we're going to do, because we've got a few minutes left, so I think we can get these last 4 decals on. I'm going to let this completely dry up and cure, and then I'm going to go and I'll apply the decal fix on my own time. If you want to see how decal fix is used, I think we'll use it tomorrow when we're actually putting this guy together. I've got to go repaint his helmet and definitely figure out a way that I'm going to get that little bit of that crisp line into the helmet. I guess we'll probably do it. I might try it with some vinyl, just a thin strip of vinyl tape, and then I can put thicker tape around it. I think that'll probably work. I got to figure it out. Anyways, let's see. Are these guys ready yet? Just getting there. I'll go ahead and put you back. Go ahead and stick you on. And this is where you got to be real careful not to touch any of the other decals. Where does this go? It goes in the middle. You don't want to touch any other decals that you've already put on. Can you guys see? Make sure. I always forget to make sure that I'm kind of middle frame on my overhead cam. There, that's gonna be perfect. Let's swing it around. I'm just grabbing it by the tires because I know there's no decals on there. All right, let me use. Well, see if I can get. Get on there. My fingers are turning into prunes. I do hate that about the water slide decals. Okay, that goes there, and then we're just going to put the Senna with the Brazilian flag goes right there. So come over here. Assuming these are ready to go, they are. I'm going to just slide it off the end there and then grab it with my X-Acto. There we go. There's that one. Put you right there for now. And it just goes right there. That was perfect. Leave that right where it's at. And then one more. Last one. Oh, get up here. Let me grab it with the... And the last one's going to be a pain, of course. Would not want to go on the X-Acto, so we'll just do it this way. There we go. And that's got, let me move this water out of the way. And that's got all the decals. That's actually has, once this has dried up, once the all the decals have fully set and the moisture's all gone, then we can go, you want to go in with your decal fix. Don't do it before that because you'll probably end up moving them and all kinds of stuff. But once it all dries up, I'll put the decal fix on, and that will actually have the what is this thing called? The cart done, finished. When I use the decal fix on the front number 2 here, it actually, if you remember right, there's 2 molded bolts here. It sucked it in over those molded bolts and actually ripped the decal. So I had to go in and put a little touch of black paint there to give that black back. That looks okay. Looks okay. I think on the whole, I'm happy with how the cart came out. But if you watched the last episode, we've got the figure we've got to finish here. So I repainted the helmet. We were trying to put in this black bit that goes down at the bottom here. And it didn't work out for us last episode. So this time, I think what I'm going to try to do, I've cut a piece of black vinyl. Let me show you what I have. I have a roll of black vinyl here that I'm using, or that I had laying around that I'm using and cut a strip out of to use as our masking, our tape, I guess, to mask off this line. And it's not even really wanting to sit nice and tight for me. I'm trying to use the end of this brush to burnish it on, to smooth it out on there. I don't even know how well this is necessarily working. I kind of see it wrinkling up. But this is the best option we have. I think I could try to actually apply heat to it and get this to mold on, but I'm afraid of what that'll do, what the reaction between the vinyl and the paint. I'm not sure. I'm afraid I'm going to pull the vinyl off and the yellow is going to come with it. So I'm a little timid to use heat to try to form this on here. Now, we had talked about painting the black all the way around. Looking at this picture, it kind of shows it. It does actually show it all the way around, doesn't it? The box lid shows it all the way around. I was thinking about just cutting it short because on the back here it goes really bad. But what I think I'm going to do, we're just going to have to do it. It's just, yeah, at the end of the day, you just have to go for it. I'm going to leave the mask here, but then I'm also going to use the small, in fact, I think I might even use this guy, the angle cut brush here. Now it's pretty bad shape. I'll use the small one, and I'm going to try to paint it like there's not masking there. Oh, actually, we're using this paint, aren't we? But I'll keep the mask there, even though I can already tell it's not, like, I'd love to be able to just paint right over the mask and then use it as intended. But let's just go for it. Let's see what we can do. My hands are they shake so much. And why is my lid not coming off now? There we go. All right, let's just see what we can do. Let's slide this out of the way. Keep this, that's the other part that makes it hard for me, is I tried to keep this in frame so you guys can see what I'm doing. And sometimes it makes it a little harder for me to actually do the painting. I'm thinking what we can do is, I know some of this is not going to end up looking good. We're going to have some bad spots. But I think we can go in and maybe clean that up. At least I'm hoping we'll be able to clean them up when we pull this vinyl tape off or this vinyl masking off. I'm just going to try to do this as carefully as I can. I mean, as absolutely carefully as I can. And we'll see. We'll see just how bad it turns out. The problem is when this paint flows underneath something, it just spreads. And so it just becomes a really big, huge mess. It doesn't just kind of give you a little bad spot. It ends up in a big bad spot. Okay. Sorry if I'm not talking too much during this because I really am trying to concentrate. I really do want this helmet to turn out well. I was talking about last episode. This is a very iconic helmet, and I'd like to do it as best I can. You know, and while I'm doing this too, not only am I bad at building plastic models, I'm actually a bad YouTuber. I should probably mention a few things. If you're just joining us in this video, there is a playlist. If you want to go back and catch the previous episodes, you can easily just go back and catch those from the playlist that we have. In fact, all the builds I'm doing, I'm putting them in playlists. So in case you miss one, you can always go back and catch it, or you can watch. And these are 45-minute videos. So if you watch, you know, I know how it is. Sometimes you watch 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. At least that's how I do a lot of the videos that I watch. I don't necessarily watch them in one sitting. I try to paint. I can already tell this looks like garbage. I'm already seeing where this looks really bad. It might, at the end of the day, just kind of, what do they say these days? It is what it is. But let me try to paint the underside of this. Just finish this out like this here. I'm hoping if there's some really bad spots, we can go in with the X-Acto and kind of clean them up. Yeah, so anyways, hit up those playlists if you want to catch one of the previous episodes. And I think, let me see, I want to do this just a little better right here. Okay, I'm going to let that sit just 2 seconds. Let me clean my brush. I actually don't want to leave it sitting too long. I'm going to pull it off while it's still a little wet. And we'll see what we've got. This is definitely not my forte. Figure painting has always been something that I need to work on. Let me see if I can get this. Oh boy. Let me see if I can get the vinyl masking off. This is the right. Yeah. I don't want to chip up the yellow paint. Okay, I cannot get the mask off. Oh, I need to come here. Okay, I see. I was not picking at the end of it. I'm so terrified. I've painted this helmet like 3 times now. And I don't want to go for a 4th. Please just give me my vinyl back. There we go. Let's see what we got. Okay, yeah, we definitely had some... Oh my God, it's awful. We definitely had some bleed through. There's just no way to mask that. So you can see here's our bleed through. Now my question is, might have to actually let it dry up. Or maybe it's better to go now. Can we come in here and kind of clean this up? Because I've got a ton of yellow paint on this. From painting it, like I said, 3 times now. Might be best to let it dry and then come in and kind of scratch off the paint that's bad, but it's actually, that already looks better. There's actually a lot of bad spots in the yellow paint, to be honest with you. Yeah, that already looks a little better. I think that's it'll work. I'm still trying to decide if it's better to wait for it to dry or do it while it's wet, or just a little wet. This paint dries very quickly. The vinyl worked, I would say the vinyl worked better than the masking tape that we tried yesterday, and it worked better, I would say. Well, I don't know. I wonder if I could have freehanded it better. Probably not. Try to keep the end of my X-Acto cleared and clean of the black paint. Yeah, it's working. Now let me just get the front. And I got yellow. I already see I got some yellow paint. Didn't notice I've got yellow paint on the neck of his fire suit, so I'll have to clean that up too. I can just paint over. Okay, all right. Yeah, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. Problem is on this front part of his helmet, and this is probably why it didn't tape well, the yellow paint itself is a little rough. I think what it is actually the plastic underneath is rough, which of course is why the vinyl didn't stick very well. That's already a ton better. You guys see? Make sure it's zoomed. That's a ton better. I need to add some black down here. I didn't get it completely full, the paint complete. But I think that should be okay. Give me my black back. Let me touch that up. Now I'm going to go overboard. We're trying to be perfect here. Afraid that ship sailed a long time ago, but we're going to get it as close as we can. Yeah, that's all right. Okay, let me just do a little bit of touch up. Of course, this is where I completely ruin it. It's always when you go back and try to make it a little better. Make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. Just right here, there's some kind of weak spots in the paint here. Just by hand, I'm going to come in. Usually I can do pretty good at this kind of thing. It's just doing a full stripe around freehand. I can't do it. This turned out much better than I was expecting. Okay, let that set. There's a little spot there I want to fix up, but that'll have it. I think we might have success, or yeah, what I consider success. Let me clean that. Right here. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let me let you guys look at it. I mean, it's not perfect by any means. We got some little bit of bumps down here, but this is actually some black padding that's on the helmet, or it's that black rim. I don't know, but it's usually like a vinyl material, so it wouldn't be completely smooth anyways. But I think that's going to be, well, it's going to have to be good enough. What I want to do real quick before I forget is clean up that little bit of yellow they got on the neck of his suit there. And then we'll let that dry. We'll keep, here it is. We'll keep, I think we'll keep working on the helmet while this dries in here. What I don't want to do is now paint white on the helmet. All right, I think that's good. Yeah, we'll let that dry. And now we've got some other fine details we have to do on the helmet here. Let's see if we can get those done. Basically, I'm trying to think the order that I want to do this. I think I'm going to drop the flesh color in first, which I've got to find a flesh color. I know I have some. Here we go. We'll go with this one, I think, maybe. Something like this. It's all going to be behind that clear massy, or yeah, it is clear, right? Yeah, it's like a clear visor, so you're not going to really even see this very well. Okay. But we want to definitely put it in there. So we got to get this right. It's just right in there. Very carefully. I don't have to be too careful because there's other colors going on top of this that we can clean up with. My eye is even twitching. Makes it real easy. I think that's going to be fine for what we're doing there. And then I think they call, let me see, how do I want to, they call for black right there. And then, yeah, and then the blue right there. And I think, you know what, I'm going to go flesh tone all the way up top here. So this line I'm going to be kind of careful with, the top line. The bottom we're going to be putting in other colors. It's not as important because it's the next color that's going to be important. We just paint right up to the mold line. I think that's going to be okay. Yeah, that's okay. And then I'll go, I think, blue. The blue, which is the padding in on his face. It has blue padding. I can even see it in the picture on the box. So it's that blue, and then there's black. Again, it's that kind of that vinyl piece that goes on the edges of the helmet. So that's, we've got those two colors, and then that's the that'll be the helmet. So what do I need? I've got black. I need a blue. We've got some blue right here. Imperial blue, which will be fine. So blue is the next color. This one I've got to be a little more careful with. I don't know how opaque this blue is. This again is an airbrush paint. Let's see how well it's gonna cover here. Oh boy. Let's see. I'm gonna go. Oh my goodness. Because it's airbrush paint, it just flows really freely, as you can see. Okay, I'm going to let that sit, and then I think I can go back and clean that up, with the flesh tone. Again, most of this isn't even, you're not even going to really see it because it's going to be behind the visor, which is going to really kind of mask it. It's a clear visor, obviously, but it's going to really mask these colors. Where's the black? I kind of want to keep moving forward here. I don't want to run out of time because I really do want to get this finished up in this video because I got another project I'd like to move on to. And I try to get all of these done within a week or within 7 videos at max, at maximum. And that's what this video is. So I'm going to try to definitely get it finished. Now the black is going to go all the way from over here. I think most important, you might not even be able to see what I'm doing. Most important is that I get this outside line not as clean as possible. The blue and the black kind of blend together. It's kind of gets a little hard to tell the difference in the colors. And I'm going to take this black all the way up into the corner here. Kind of close out and clean it up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to let that dry. Now you can see we've got a little too much paint, not enough flesh, which is fine. I'll let this dry up, and then I'll add place the flesh tone back in. But I think that's going to work okay, considering, again, there's going to be a clear screen, plastic visor that goes over top of that. Let's let that dry up real well, and what we'll do now is move on to the fire suit itself. And I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I don't think there's going to be a lot that we're going to need to do here. Let me clean up my brush real quick. I think mainly what I want to do, I'm going to set that aside. What I'll do is I'll bring his arms over, and we'll use his arms as the kind of what, I don't want to say as a test, but what we'll start with first. What I want to do, I've got some gray, and this is actually accent line gray, which really all it is gray wash with a built-in brush. Right, so normally you would use this for doing your accent lines or doing your kind of those deep molded lines to give depth to those. Let me shake this up real good, but I'm going to use it just as the wash because this is what I have for gray wash that I can see around here right now. I've got to make a pretty big paint purchase, especially if we start doing a lot of these plastic models. Because as you notice with this one, I've kind of faked a lot of colors. Using paints that aren't even meant for plastic models, that kind of stuff. So I think I'm gonna make a big paint purchase so in the future we can kind of keep it more accurate. I'm gonna have a rag on hand, and basically I'm just going to kind of dump this in here. You can kind of see what I'm doing like this. I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way around, just this simple. Wipe it off a little bit with the brush, and then now we come in and just touch it with our rag. We might have over touched it, but that's not, kind of giving you the idea of where we're going. So I'll let that one sit. I'll do the next one. You let that dry because you can always apply more, which I think I probably will. Remember, if you wipe too much, you can always just go right back. And usually that's a good way to do it, is to do this kind of thing in layers. Really, just like you do any paint, you want to do kind of layer it on. I think that's not too bad. I kind of like how that's starting to look. We'll let that sit. We'll let these arms sit over here and dry a little bit. I think I am going to go back and do them again, but I think we can probably, we can at least do his legs. I'm going to hold it by his shoulder so I don't touch the paint that I was just working with. I mean, you can leave it real heavy like this if you wanted. Kind of get it all in those low kind of shadow points, and then come in and just try to hit the high spots. Something like that on his legs. That's not too bad. Let me see if I hold him by the feet. I think we can get his torso done here without touching our wet paint up there. I want to darken up in the middle. His back is in the seat. You don't really see it, but you never know. So I always like to try to, even the areas you don't think are going to be seen, you still want to paint them. I always say it's doing your due diligence, So let's go in, try to clean that up a little bit without smudging any of our other paint. Normally I would let that helmet completely dry. I would do this all at one piece, but I want to make sure and get this done. That doesn't look too bad for a quick wash. If you guys can see. Let's let that dry, I think. Or our arms, how are our arms doing? I think I'm going to try and just go ahead and give the second coat. I mainly want to get in these elbows. And see how you can touch and just let it run? And I think I'm going to leave it a little bit like that. I might touch it back just a hair. Just like that. Especially this elbow that's bent a little more. Just touch it and let it do its job. Let the wash do its job. Yeah, that's not bad. I like that. And I want to do the same thing with him, but it's mainly going to be kind of in at his waist here, and kind of through the crotch, right in here, maybe around his knees a little bit, where there would be a little more shadow present. A little bit like that. And I think that's going to be pretty good. I like that. Okay, so I bet that is probably dried up good enough where I can kind of drop some more flesh tone in there just to clean it up. I think we're going to leave, I'm trying to decide what I want to do with the shoes. I might go in, we might as well. I might go in some black wash on the shoes for sure. The gloves, I kind of like how the gloves turned out just with the paint. They've got a good, in fact, I might, you know what it might do? They show is, oh, they show the shoes all red. I'm looking in the box top right now. They do show black soles. So I do want to go in, I think I'll do that right now, and put some black soles on his shoes. They do show red shoestrings though. So we'll leave the shoestrings red. Let me see if I can get the soles of his shoes, the bottoms of his shoes painted black. Let me grab him by the shoulders. Probably should use a bigger brush. In fact, I am going to use a bigger brush. Let's use this guy here. Trying to make it nice and clean looking soles. It's going to take 2 coats. I don't know why this isn't coating the red. This isn't covering the red very well, this black. Whoa, my hand is shaking really bad. Yeah, I think that's going to be... I like how that's going to look. I'm going to go back and kind of put a second coat on this, on each one, because I want to make sure they're nice and covered, nice and black. Yeah, make sure the red is not showing through. Okay, can we set him like that? Okay, we'll let him dry a little bit. In fact, I think the body there is going to have to dry up a good bit. I set my rag in my water over here. Let me throw that to the side. Do I have another? Yeah, I have a rag here. Okay. All right. So now, yeah, let me see if I can drop some flesh tone back in there. Just clean that up just a little bit. And I think that'll have our paint done. Now, it's a very fast, where did I put my flesh? Here it is. You know, in fact, I've still got some. I just need to find my brush. Where'd my little guy go? Oh, he's still in the water. Very quick paint job. As you can tell, it didn't take long. But I think it's going to do just fine, because there's a ton of decals that are going to go on, which, you know, kind of takes up a lot of the real estate, I guess you could say. Like it, you know, it's not there's not a lot of paint color. It's more just decals. Okay, flip him upside down. I think it's all right. I think it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine, especially considering it's gonna be behind a mask, which we will have to let this dry up very well. Let me see if you guys can see what we're working with. There you go. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I'm gonna have to let him dry up a little bit. The what did I do with this rag? Yeah, this is, yeah, it's starting to dry up for us. Okay, good. I'm gonna pat that back just a little bit, a little too heavy right there. I think that looks good. Let me make sure these kind of what we want. Yeah. Okay, nice. Now, I think all that's really left is putting all his decals on him. So let me pull the water over. Here's our decals. So we've got the ones that go on. Oh, I see. So yeah, the M's go. I think I can do the ones for the shoes. The M's go on. I see they have to both go on that side. Okay, so let's go ahead and start this. I don't want to run out of time on you guys. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start cutting some of these out. I'll throw them in the water there. I think we'll probably do the same thing we did last time. Well, you know what? I'll try to. I mean, there's not much to using decal fix. You just let it fully dry. Then use a nice soft brush. It's what I did to the card. So I actually decal fixed these afterwards. I let them completely dry. And then I use a nice soft brush and a thin layer over top of them. And it really makes them nice and supple. And then they form to these lines. In fact, it formed too well to these the bolt spots, which I think I'm going to try to clean those up a little bit better before I take the final photos. But if I can I'm afraid we're going to run out of time, so I might have to just apply the decals, and then I'll do the decal fix on my own. It's not anything exciting to watch. But let's see if we can get these decals put on him so we can kind of see how he's going to finish out looking. We got to let that paint dry before we put. Basically, the last part that we're going to be putting on is this clear visor here, and it just fits right in there. So it's going to, like I said, it's going to really mask. I don't know which way it goes, but it's going to really mask all that paint we put in there. The paint we put in is going to just give more an impression of what's there. So we've got, let's see, I'm going to put that national on his chest too. Where to throw the decals at? What number is that? Is it the same on his front and back? Probably. It's J. Yeah, I think one probably goes on his front and one goes on the back of his suit. So we're going to just do both of them. Cut that off and out of the way. Just lost the paintbrush on the floor. Okay. And let's see how we're doing here. Now again, I like to make sure that they slide off their backing paper, naturally on their own. You don't want to force them because you'll end up ripping them. Trust me, from experience, that'll happen. But it shouldn't take too long. Here we go. Start with this guy here. Go for the pruny fingers again. And I really should wait for this to dry up better, but we're just running out of time. So I am going to go ahead and get it done. Okay. Really does make the difference putting the decals on. That detail that you just can't, you can't paint this, Get on there. Make sure these tails kind of come. These little logos have a tail on them. Make sure they come together in the back. His feet are kind of prominent, sticking out there on the brake and gas pedal. Definitely want to make sure they're right. Nice, I like that. Okay. Yeah, I think that looks all right. This one probably could come up a little bit here. Yeah, but right there, perfect. All right, now let's grab one of these, and it just goes kind of center chest. Pretty sure it's going to go center chest and center back. I don't see, it doesn't actually show where the other one goes. Sure, nice and straight like that. And it has to go on his back. I don't see where else it would. Oh, there's a show in the back. Yeah, it goes on his back, kind of upper back, upper center back. Right there. Yeah, makes all the difference, I think. Nice. What else do we have on his body? We could do his. Okay, so the legs are actually completely done. There's nothing else that goes on the legs. Everything else goes either on his torso or his back. We got a little tag Heuer H, which is the black and white one. Yeah. So let me go ahead and get that one going. In fact, I'll do both on his chest, which is H and I. I is one of the Senna logos here. If I can get them cut out, we'll get those in. Oops. Come back here. And then his arms are an I and K. Are those there? Okay. So let me just go ahead and do those. Only worry is sometimes these can stay in the water too long, and then they will come off their backing on their own, and then you can't find them floating around in the water. But let's go ahead and do this, and this will finish. That'll be his chest and his arms, and he'll just have that tag Heuer for his back, and then it's just his helmet. And I think we got to put the decal. Yeah, we're gonna have to put the decals on the helmet before we put his visor on. Okay, so let's see. So those, okay, and then how does it go on? It's the Senna on top and the tag Heuer on bottom on the arms. Let me go ahead and get his arms over here ready to put those on. We got kind of a center line. Where's this? Yeah, it's gonna go kind of there and there. Looks like, yeah. This tag Heuer goes on his right chest. The decals are always fun because, one, because it kind of gives that final touch, but it also, that you're almost done. It's almost complete once you start doing the decals. Come on, give me that, please. Need to move that up a little bit. Yeah, I kind of like it there better. Yeah, I think so. And you have to be real careful just not to touch the decals you've already put on. In fact, that's a little crooked. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, be sure not to touch them, and then you move them around because they're still, still wet. And here we go. Let me try to do this with the X-Acto. It's more wanting to stick to my finger than the X-Acto knife, though. Come on. Right there on his chest. Yeah, straighten it out. I think that's right. And on his chest. Okay, where's the sink to the bottom? Okay. Let's get this little Senna logo. Throw those over there. Like that. And I just need that tag Heuer for his back. Let me go ahead and drop that in. while I do his arms. And his arms was Senna up top. Let me move him just a little bit. Going to be Senna up top and then Tag Heuer down below. That's that one. And now I can't pick up my decal. Give it to me. This one, I wish it was a little more ambidextrous. Okay, let's just go this way. It's going to go on here. Now this sleeve seems to be kind of wrapped around a little bit more. So we kind of need to move it around that way like that, I think. You can see they have molded lines where the seam, the center seam of the sleeve is. Can y'all see what I'm doing here? It's right there on this arm. On this arm, it's like it's pulled around because of the way his arm's bit, so it's a little further around like that. It's like pulling his, not that dramatic. There we go, about like right there, I think. Okay, let's do these Tag Heuers. We'll just line these up off of that Senna logo without destroying it with the X-Acto knife. And like now, these are the ones that are going to really benefit from the decal fix. So you just kind of put them in place like that, let them dry. They'll kind of form this up, but then you go back with the decal fix, and it'll absolutely form them to the shapes of the sleeve there. Let's get this guy in place. Can I move these a little further around? Let me wet this up a little bit. Yeah, I like that. I think that's going to be good. Okay, so there's the arms. We'll set the arms aside. That's all they get, I'm pretty sure. Nothing goes on the gloves or anything. Yeah, that's all they get. In fact, all that the body gets left now is this Tag Heuer logo that goes on his back. Right underneath the Nacional logo. Oh, and this is what you got to be careful of. I just yanked one of his boot decals off. Okay, get back on there. Let's put it back in place first. That's good. Now let's get this Tag Heuer in place. Right there is good. Let's make sure we didn't. I'm going to give him a quick look over. Make sure we didn't snag something else. This is a little not right. Looks like we moved it. Just double check these are lining up. Double check everything. I'm going to set him aside like so. Okay, and now all we need to do, all the rest of these, wow, all the rest of these are for the helmet, huh? Jeez Louise. All this goes on his helmet. So we got that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 logo. 10, I guess, huh? Okay, so let's start with these stripes. I think they're going to be the biggest pains in the backside. So let's do them first. Where does this? Okay. Let's cut that. The green goes, the green goes on top. The black goes on bottom. Let me cut these out of the way. Not ready for you yet. We'll see how difficult these are to deal with. And all at the same time, not goofing up the decals we already have on him. I don't want to have some I don't want to lose. Here we go. That. Was there anything else? Yeah, these. Setting them all over there. You guys keep an eye on those. Make sure they don't go anywhere. The trash stuff, I'm going to try to let me pick up and get out of the way so you don't get confused with it. And we'll throw it on the floor to never be cleaned. We will sell this house with this on the floor. Okay, now let's see. Let's move him back over. I'm going to try to make sure mentally, I'm making a mental note to only grab him, or to grab him by the waist. Where, you know, I know there's no applied decals on his waist and legs, so I only grab him by those. I don't even know where that just came from. It's the house fighting back. They're throwing them at me. All right, let's see. So I think we'll start with that bottom black stripe, I think. As soon as it naturally, I definitely want this to kind of naturally come off its backing. Can you guys see it? See how thin it gets, especially right in the center there? We do not want to force that, or it will, I guarantee you it will rip. It'll come apart on us. Yeah, these are the ones, I need to get these applied, and then we'll be able to put the visor on. And I'm looking at my timer here. I have a timer on my phone. We're actually just about out of time. So I think what we're going to do, I'm going to put these two stripes on. We'll put the visor in place so we can just kind of see what it's going to look like. I'm going to finish this up as far as all the little decals that go on there. And then like all the rest of our builds, at the end of this, I want to put finished photos, some good quality finished photos, so you can kind of really get a good look at what we had going. Well, I'll have his helmet done and all that, so you'll be able to see it finished. But just due to time, I want to do just these two stripes. They're almost there. They're starting to come loose. Those two stripes, because that's going to clean up those edges around the mask area. So we'll see how this looks, how it works out. So let me get this black one. Now you gotta be real. I need to be real careful, because the other thing I don't want to do is have it fold on itself. Does it wrap all the way around? I guess. Probably should have. Yeah, probably should look at those things before you start trying to put it on. Okay, so now let's just try to slowly move this in place. Wow, this is. Let me keep in frame so you can see, so you can follow my struggles. Okay, so we want to move all that up right to the edge there. So we painted the black, on the inside, and then this finishes off that black, I think, is kind of how it's supposed to work. So what I might end up having to do is apply this and then paint black to it. We got to have it meet in the back. So that looks like where it needs to sit. Pretty close. I think that's about right. So now you can see, and that actually looks pretty straight. We'll probably lift that just a little bit there. You can see, well, I may not get too close, that we have some yellow showing. I just pulled this tag cord. I said only to touch his legs. Let me get this tag Hoyer back on, and I have one of his shoe decals on my finger. So let's put these back on real quick and in place. Again, if I was doing this not in 45-minute settings, I would let things dry. Let me get his shoe decal back on. It goes this way. Grab just a little bit of water so I can slide that around. I'm going to make sure it's where it goes. Now, only touching his legs. Now you can see probably that there's that yellow in between the decal there. I'll paint that in. But let's go ahead and try to do the green, which I think is going to be just as fun. It goes on top. Okay, only grabbing his legs. Don't get stuck to the black stripe I just put on. Work it around into place. And I think, does it go all the way to the edge? I believe it goes all the way down to the edge here, I think. But it needs to come way around, doesn't it? There we Oh, and I just moved the black one. I swear to God. Got my green stripe and my black stripe mingling. Now, bring the front down. I think that's getting pretty close. Where did my... I think that has to come down some. I think it's supposed to be right on the edge of the helmet there. About right there. That's where the visor is going to meet. I think that's pretty close. We're getting pretty close in the back here, which means we should be kind of wrapping the right circumference. This black line I goofed. It needs to come back up and around like that. Hopefully y'all can kind of see what I'm doing. Trying to keep these lines parallel to each other because that's how they should be. I think it's pretty close. And I think due to time, we're going to have to call that good. And we're going to call it good because again, these shoe decals are killing me. I'm going to have to put his foot back on. I'll tell you what, I'm going to finish this up. You can kind of you get the idea, I think. We're definitely running long right now. So I'm going to finish this up. I'll take pictures of the finished product, kind of see how it ends up turning out. I'll post those right at the end here. But thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining me for this build. This build's actually done pretty well on the channel, so I guess there's been a lot of interest in it. So I really appreciate that. Leave me the comments down below. Actually posted a community post asking. I've got a project we're about to do next. It's actually, I think, going to be a short one. But what would y'all like to see built on the channel? If you've watched this far, you definitely are invested. Let me know what you want to see here on the channel. And I'll try to keep asking those kind of questions down in the community tab. But thanks for joining me. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.